Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel, Laugh and Animation. Sorry that it's been a few days since I last posted, but I have been writing a lot of new content. And this one, okay, so just so you know, it is not a Todoroki zombie apocalypse ASMR. This is a KiriBaku ex-listener Wendigo ASMR. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoy. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, if you want to see part 2 to this Wendigo ASMR, and let's get going. It was a Friday afternoon, the classes ending for the day at UA High School. You walked alongside your two best friends, Bakugo and Kirishima, who you hadn't seen in years until you came to UA. You hadn't expected to see them again, thinking that your friendship with them had either been forgotten or had ended now that you were all much older. However, to your surprise, the second Kirishima had recognized you in the cafeteria, he rushed over to you, wrapping his strong arms around you in a tight hug. "Oh my gosh, it's really you!" Bakugo had been talking with Kirishima, but was now stunned. Neither of them had seen you in years, making the reunion even more heartfelt. You were in shock, not immediately recognizing Kirishima since he had dyed his hair red. You hugged Kirishima back with equal strength, not letting go. "Lord of Jesus Christ, where have you two been all this time?" you asked, a smile tugging at the corner of your lips. Bakugo finally came forward, gently jabbing you in the side with his elbow. "You've changed, little shit. You're much taller than I remember." You returned the playful nudge, laughing softly. "Hey, I told you I wasn't gonna remain short forever. When have I ever lied to you?" You all shared a laugh, the air now filled with a sense of joy you had not felt in so long. "Man, we have so much to catch up on," Kirishima said, his arm wrapped around your shoulders like he used to when you were both kids. Bakugo smirked, clicking his tongue in slight amusement. "Yeah, I can't wait to hear how miserable you were without us all these years." You rolled your eyes, though they didn't hold any kind of annoyance. "Wow, I'm feeling all the love. Are you sure you're not a romantic, Bakugo?" you teased, trying not to laugh. Kirishima chuckled, his arm tightening around you. "Oh man, they got you good." Bakugo, slightly pissed, retorted, "What did you just say, you little shit?" You and Bakugo ended up wrestling, and as expected, he beat you with ease, though you kinda had given up halfway through. Bakugo pushed himself off of you, running a hand through his blonde, slightly messed up spiky hair. "That's what you get, you idiot. Don't ever mess with me, you got it?" You shook your head, sitting up. Yeah, whatever. Can you at least help me up?" Kirishima lended you a hand, pulling you to your feet. "Don't mind him. He's always been a little intense. Though, you probably already knew that." You raised an eyebrow, skeptical. "A little intense? I think you're underestimating just how intense this man gets." Kirishima lets out a nervous laugh, rubbing the back of his neck sheepishly. "Oh well, what can you say? He isn't like that all the time. At least, not anymore." You froze for half a second, shocked. "Not anymore? You're telling me that the Katsuki Bakugo has become less intense? We'll see about that." Bakugo clicked his tongue, scoffing. "Shut up, the both of you. Class starts soon, and I refuse to be late because of you two little shits being a pain in my ass." He sighed, marching off to the next classroom. You and Kirishima had caught up to him, though you both kept a good bit of distance between Bakugo, giving him his space. Kirishima then broke the silence, beaming with his usual manly charm you easily recognized, despite the amount of years apart. "I can't wait to get to spend time with you again. It feels like it was just yesterday that you moved away to head off to a different school." His smile faltered, though discreet. You easily could tell just by the way the sparkle in his eyes dimmed. "By the way, where have you been all this time? I know your family moved and sent you to a different school and all, but it just felt like you had completely disappeared." Your expression darkened, and all of a sudden, you went quiet. You replied, your voice sounding off. "Sorry, I just have been so busy. It's been hell ever since we moved." Bakugo finally turned around, making you stop in your tracks. "You could have called, or at least texted, you know." You were genuinely caught off guard by his sudden aggression. But being the thunder-brained, fast-witted Chad that you were, you quickly came up with an answer. "It wasn't that easy, Bakugo. I would have called you if I could, but... You stopped yourself, not wanting to finish your sentence. Kirishima placed a hand on your shoulder, a reassuring touch that grounded you. If you were going through something rough, we understand. Don't we, Bakugou? He shot Bakugo a look, silently asking for his support. Bakugo finally gave in, his foot scuffing at the floor with slight frustration. Yeah, whatever. Just don't do it again, Kay. His tone was softer, his usual explosive personality reduced, something you rarely witnessed. You smiled, grateful for their understanding. Thanks, guys. I've missed this. I've missed us. Ever since that day, you and the boys spent your time catching up, speaking of how much your lives have changed over the years. However, almost 2 months after reuniting with your two best friends, Mr. Aizawa stood in front of the class, announcing that you all would be taking a trip to a farm, explaining that it was a part of your hero training course. Kirishima was the first to speak up, nudging you on the shoulder. Did you hear that? Field trip! Bakugo sighed heavily, not interested in the slightest. Why the hell do we need to travel to the middle of nowhere for our hero course? We have training grounds for a reason. Kirishima chuckled, clapping a hand on Bakugo's shoulder. Aw, come on, man. Think of it as a chance to practice your explosions in a wider space. So you don't have to worry about blowing up the gym again. Bakugo cut him off, shoving his hands in his pockets to keep the both of you from noticing how his palms were sparking with light fury. That was one time! Shut the hell up, shitty hair. Kirishima raised his hands in mock surrender, chuckling to himself. Okay, man, I'll lay off. However, you weren't laughing like you usually would at their playful banter, making both boys concerned. Kirishima broke the silence, placing a hand on your shoulder. Hey, you okay? You snapped out of your trance, meeting their gaze. Oh, yeah, I am fine. Just thinking. Your eyes drifted back to Aizawa. Bakugo and Kirishima watching as you stood from your seat. I'll be right back. Just gotta ask Mr. Aizawa a question. Their eyes didn't leave you as you strided towards the front of the class, speaking to Aizawa in a hushed tone, as if you didn't want anyone else to hear. Does this farm just so happen to belong to my parents? You asked bluntly, needing to know immediately. Aizawa glanced up at you, his half-opened eyes meeting yours. Yes, it does. You let out a frustrated sigh, nodding your head as you went back to your seat. This was the last thing you wanted. A field trip to the one place you thought your greatest secret of all wouldn't be revealed. Thinking back to the reason why your family had moved away all those years ago began to flood your mind with bad memories. Your family went to the trouble of switching schools, moving, and starting a cattle ranch, all for your safety, because your quirk was the ability to transform into a Wendigo, meaning that you had an extreme appetite, but also made you crave the taste of raw human flesh. Your quirk was an easy thing to control, having made your parents worried enough to want to extract you from your comfortable life with your two best friends and move to the middle of nowhere. They had helped you control your cravings by raising cattle, and having you feed on some of their stock whenever you felt even the slightest bit tempted to eat a human being. This had haunted you since the moment you developed this quirk, making you despise yourself for something you couldn't control. Of course, in the end, you never told either Bakugo or Kirishima of your quirk, not even using it during training. You had kept this secret well for a long time, but knew that they were going to have to know at some point in the future. Despite your dad being a pro hero and having the same quirk as you, he was at least able to control his powers a lot better than you could. You then froze in your tracks, turning back to Aizawa. Wait, did my dad request you to use our ranch for training exercises? Your teacher nodded his head, looking up from his papers. He did. He said that he was happy to take y'all off my hands for 2 weeks at the least, and 3 weeks at most. You facepalmed, letting out a long groan. You knew your dad had requested this because he knew it was close to your monthly feeding, which you would take time off for every month. But clearly your father got word of the field trip and was using this as a perfect excuse to bring you home so you could feed. You sat back down at your seat, pinching the bridge of your nose. This is just great. Later, after class had ended, you found yourself walking with Kirishima and Bakugo, heading back to the dorms. Kirishima had been talking to Bakugo about his latest moves he had been using in training, when he noticed how quiet you had been during the whole walk. He paused on the conversation, turning to face you. "You okay, Firecracker?" You didn't hear him, so caught up in a whirlwind of your own thoughts that you bumped into him. When you looked up, you saw the concern in his eyes and tried your best to regain your composure. "Oh, Kirishima, I am so sorry. I didn't mean to bump into you." Kirishima placed his hands on your shoulders, feeling the tension in your body. "I asked if you were okay. Is everything alright? You looked like you had a lot on your mind." Your hands clenched the straps of your school bag, afraid that he had discovered your turbulent behavior. What makes you think that something was wrong? I'm perfectly fine." Bakugo, ever the perceptive one, grabbed one of your wrists, getting in your personal space. "You're acting like you're about to have a heart attack. I wouldn't call that fine." You tense under his gaze, trying to pry his hand off of your arm. "Heart attack? That sounds a little harsh, don't you think?" "I'm just thinking is all." "Thinking about what?" His grip tightened, his eyes boring into yours with an intensity that you recognized. "Bakugo, let me go." "Not until you tell us what's wrong." Kirishima, ever the peacemaker, placed a hand on Bakugo's chest, trying to calm him down. "Bakugo, they don't have to tell us everything. We can't make them, you know?" He glanced back at you, his eyes softening as he took in your stiff posture. "You can tell us if something is wrong, you know? We won't force you. And if you choose to, we'll listen." Your heart swelled at his words, but that feeling quickly faded when you realized that you couldn't. Yes, they're your best friends, but would it be worth it if you told them you were a monster? No, you didn't think so. You lowered your gaze, quietly shaking your head with remorse. Kirishima smiled softly, patting your head gently. "It's okay, Firecracker. You don't have to say anything if you can't. We understand. Right, Bakugo?" He placed a hand on Bakugo's shoulder, a silent plea in his touch. Bakugo, stubborn as ever, reluctantly gave up on his interrogation. "Yeah, whatever. Just don't act like you're okay when you're not. Got it, squirt?" You sheepishly rubbed the back of your neck, a nervous laugh escaping your lips before you could stop it. "I'll try. Promise." Bakugo huffed, stomping the rest of the way back to the dorms. When you entered the common room, you saw several of your classmates chatting together, laughing at Sero and Denki while they bickered about who could chug the most Sprite. The comfortable atmosphere of the room helped in calming down some of your uneasy nerves as you sank down on the couch next to Mina. You leaned over, whispering in her ear, "What's going on?" Mina giggled, playfully waving her hand around in the air as she explained. "Sero was just telling us how he once chugged down a whole bottle of Sprite in 2 minutes. And, of course, Denki being competitive, just had to challenge him to a match of chugging 2 bottles of Sprites." You shook your head, rolling your eyes with amusement. "I can't believe them sometimes. They would pretty much go as far as to dare each other to swim to the bottom of the ocean in search of pirate treasure." Your classmates laugh at your comment, giving you nods of agreement. Todoroki, however, always the one to take things seriously, thought you meant that literally. He glanced over at you, a concerned look in his gaze. "Would they really?" You chuckled, raising your hands in a bit of an embarrassed gesture. No, not literally. It was a joke." He gave you a small smile, thankful that you were only kidding, sitting back against the couch once more. Just then, Bakugo and Kirishima, who had been in the kitchen making tea, entered the common room, carrying 3 mugs with them. Kirishima sat down next to you, handing you your own mug of herbal tea Bakugo had prepared. "Here you go. It's hot, so don't burn your tongue." You gratefully took the mug from him, sipping carefully as the conversation continued. When Bakugo finally came over to sit between you and Mina, you noticed that he was acting a little different, his usual scowl replaced with a much calmer expression. You couldn't help but stare for a moment, before forcing your gaze back to Denki and Zero's bickering. Unfortunately, Bakugo had caught your eyes lingering, staring at you in return. You eventually couldn't take the intense eye contact, finally looking at him dead center in the eyes. Did I do something to upset you?" He clicked his tongue, before turning his head away to take a sip of his tea. At this point, you were just left confused, deciding to ignore him for the moment and pay more attention to the chatter in the room. Deku then announced, placing his elbows on his knees. "So, are you guys excited for the school field trip?" Chaka smiled brightly, practically glowing with energy. "Yeah, and to be traveling all the way to America just for training is so amazing!" Todoroki turned his head to look at you, his expression blank as usual. Aren't you from America? I heard you had to take a plane from there and fly all the way here. You tensed at his question, but quickly answered, a little too quickly. I am from America, actually. I used to live on a farm back in Texas with my parents on a ranch. Mina, ever the curious one, leaned in closer to ask a question of her own. Wait, didn't you ask Mr. Aizawa earlier today if the ranch we were staying at was yours? I overheard while I was talking to the girls. You gripped the hem of your shirt, fidgeting with it between your fingers. Yes, I did. Turns out that my dad caught word of how the school was asking some ranch folks in America if they would like some helpers for the next couple of weeks, and he gladly accepted the offer. Kirishima suddenly sat up straight, his eyes locked onto yours. Your dad? Wait, is that why you were so on edge today? Because you knew we were heading to your ranch for training? You had let out a sigh you didn't even realize you were holding, thankful that Kirishima hadn't questioned your odd behavior further than that. Yeah, I guess so. You laughed nervously, rubbing the back of your neck. It was just so sudden, and I guess I wasn't mentally prepared for you to meet my parents so soon. Kirishima smiled, placing a hand on your shoulder. Don't worry, I'm sure we'll all love to get to know your family. And besides, we all will be helping out on the ranch with the cattle and other chores. Bakugo, finally making his own comment, barked, It'll be the shittiest training session ever. Bakugo, come on, man, Denki interrupted, his eyes twinkling with his usual sparkle. You haven't even been there yet, so don't go trash-talking about their ranch like that. Bakugo had let out a low growl, but didn't push the issue. This was going to be a long night for the whole class, especially you. The dark thoughts consuming your mind began to take over as the others continued to goof off and mess around, a weight on your shoulders that seemed to get heavier with each passing minute. This was just the beginning of your worst nightmare that had finally come to life. And that is it for part 1 of the KiriBaku X Listener Wendigo ASMR. I hope you guys enjoyed. Oh, and I would love to give credit to my friend who helped me write this. She was a huge help in giving me information about Wendigos. I don't know that much about Wendigos, so that was a huge help. And don't worry, there's a part 2, maybe a part 3, depending on how much I write. But anyway, like and subscribe if you want to witness part 2 and maybe part 3 of this ASMR. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.
Here are some bloopers.
Thinking that your friendship with them had been I forgot to put on my glasses this morning. Hold on, guys. Let me go get them. I can't believe this. Hey, I can see! All tugging at the corner of your lips. Bakugo finally came forward. Laugh, the air now filled with a sense of joy that oh my god! Can someone help me with my sanity? Man, we have not seen each other in so long. Oh my god! Am I even reading the script? What did you just say, you little shit? Bakugo? I cringed! You raised an eyebrow, skeptical. A little intense? I think you're under You know what? I have not eaten breakfast. That's probably why I am tripping over my words so much. Spend time with you again. It feels like it was just yesterday that you moved away to head to a different school. Because I am annoyed, I am redoing that sentence. This has to be perfect. He smiled. We're cutting that out. Playful banter, making both boys concerned. I need coffee. Aizawa glanced up at you, his half-opened eyes meeting yours. Yes, it does. Wow, I yawned. Right at the Aizawa part, did you? I cannot believe this. They had helped you control your cravings by raising cattle. Did you hear that? I said cravings. Am I British or something? Australian? Tempted to eat human beings. Sheesh! You know what? I'm gonna go grab a cup of coffee. Kirishima had been talking to Bakugo about his latest moves he had been using in training, when he noticed how quiet you were. This coffee is not helping me. What is wrong with this? You okay, Firecracker? You didn't hear him, so you... No! I refuse! Bakugo, ever the perceptive one, grabbed your hand. Grabbed your hand! He grabbed your wrist! I can't even... Yeah! His grip tightened, his eyes boring into yours with an intensity that you recognized. Bakugo, let me go! Whoa, wait, hold on, I was reading in Kirishima's tone! Ah! You can tell as if something is really... Can I, like, throw myself out the window? Because I think that will probably wake me up. I overheard while I was talking to the girls. You gripped the hem of your skirt. Skirt? No! It's your shirt! Ah! I overheard while I was talking to the girls. You gripped the hem of your shirt, fidgeting with it between your feet. Thankful that Kirishima hadn't questioned your odd behavior further than that. I'm gonna go take a nap.